Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome. Shabbat Shalom to those joining us in person here in the sanctuary. Shabbat Shalom to all of you joining us online. It's been a little while. My name is Rabbi Ross Levy. I'm the assistant rabbi here at Congregation Kol Ami. I'm thrilled to be joined by Dr. Aline Malika Damian, who will be our accompanist, playing the beautiful music from the piano this evening. For those of you joining us in person, you may have noticed that our prayer books have been on a bit of a diet as of late. That's a bad joke. But they are a little bit different. This is our prayer book just for Shabbat services. We are actually having our typical prayer books, our Sidurim, being rebound by the CCAR Press. And so I'll be calling out both page numbers tonight so that those of you joining us from home who may be using the virtual flip book of the prayer book, so you can all follow along with us. And we will begin our service on this Shabbat of Parashat Matot, getting towards the end of the book of Numbers with Yedid Nefesh, which can be found on page 10 for those of you here in the sanctuary, or page 128 in the larger prayer book. Nefesh Rachaman, Yedi Nefesh Rachaman, Meshach Avdecha, El Ritzonecha, Meshach Avdecha, Yalalai El Ritzonecha, Yarutz Yedi Nefesh Rachaman, Yedi Nefesh Rachaman, Meshach Avdecha, El Ritzonecha, Meshach Avdecha, Yalalai El Ritzonecha. Those words of ancient poetry calling to us, reminding us of the unique relationship that we have with the presence of Shabbat, which is also the presence of God, finding the sacredness of rest in our Yedid Nefesh, our soulmate. At this point, we will light candles to welcome in the presence of Shabbat, and it's my honor to invite up the Honorable Bill Weinberger, who was recently sworn in as a Justice of the Peace here in Los Angeles, to please light our candles for us. Oh, not yet, not yet. Yes. Let's make sure.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hails us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah will trade you the prayer book, and I'll invite you to lift up our Kiddush cup. And those of you joining us online, I invite you to grab some wine or some grape juice, whatever you might have with you, as we turn to the Kiddush on page 5 or page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, Ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh, zeicher litziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat lechaim. Go and take a sip. And on behalf of all of us, we want to wish you a congratulations on your appointment. And I know that our city is lucky to have you as doling out justice and as a justice of the peace. So thank you very much. And a hearty mazel tov. We will continue as we begin to breathe in the presence of Shabbat with L'cha Dodi, which can be found on either pages 20 and 21 or pages 138 and 139. And as a brief reminder for all of us, it is our custom here at Congregation Kol Ami, upon reaching the 9th verse, we'll be doing verses 1, 2, and 9, that when we reach the 9th verse, we turn and face the entrance as a way of formally welcoming in the presence of Shabbat. Yalalalai l'cha dodi, yalalalai l'krat kala, yalalalai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekah, v'yalalalai l'cha dodi, yalalalai l'krat kala, yalalalai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekah, v'yalalalai Shamu lezachor b'dibur echad, yishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemu tiferet v'litzilah. Yalalalai l'cha dodi, yalalalai l'krat kala, yalalalai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekah, v'yalalalai l'cha dodi, yalalalai l'krat kala, yalalalai b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekah, l'krat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem mesucha, sof maaseh Shabbat Yai lai lai, ya la 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 lai lachad vodim. Ya la 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 lai likrat kala. Ya la 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 lai p'nei Shabbat, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Ya la 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 lai lachad vodim. Ya la 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 lai likrat kala. Ya la 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 lai p'nei Shabbat, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise and face the entrance. Mo'iveh shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola. Emunei am segula boi chala yai lai lai ya la 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 lai lachadodi ya la 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 lai likrat kala. Ya la 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 p'nei Shabbat, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. La 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 lachadodi. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 p'nei Shabbat, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Having welcomed in the presence of Shabbat, I now invite you to turn to one another, welcome one another, wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. If you don't know each other, introduce yourselves. Shabbat Shalom, Ronnie and Audrey, if you're watching. Shabbat Shalom, Mom and Dad. I did. To you? Oh, for you. Okay, Peter says Shabbat Shalom, Mom and Dad. I'll invite you to remain standing, but to make your way back towards your seats as we move into our service proper, beginning with the Baruch Hu, our call to worship on page 28 or 146. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Please be seated. Let's pray together at the top of page 31 or 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Amen. We'll continue on the following page with Ahavat Olam. This prayer celebrating and offering gratitude for the eternal love that surrounds us always, even if it is hidden at times. The Hebrew root for olam, which means eternity, can also mean hidden or concealed, elem. And I think that's a beautiful reminder that even at times when we may not feel the love around us, when we come together as a community, when we give ourselves the opportunity to rest and nourish ourselves on Shabbat, that the love is indeed still there. It just may be a little bit hidden. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha alta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochveinu, v'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayeinu ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael. Invite us all to please rise as we are able, as we turn to the Shema, page 34, 35, 152, 153. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vayed. And I'll invite you to turn to your insert for the special English version of the Ve'ahavta written by Debbie Friedman. And thou shalt love Adonai thy God with all thy heart. You may be seated. With all thy soul and with all thy mind. And these words which I command you on this day shall be upon thy heart, shall be upon thy heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou risest up, and when thou liest down, and when thou liest down. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them on the doorpost of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates, that ye may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God. Let's continue by praying responsively at the bottom of page 39 or 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. And we join in that song with our song of freedom and redemption, Mi Chamocha, on page 40 or 158. Mi cham yai lai, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha, mi chamocha, ba'edim Adonai, mi kamocha, nehedar b'kodesh, nor al tehilot osei felet, nor al tehilot osei felet. Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai, who is like you? Adonai, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la. La 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 la. Let there be love and understanding among us. This is the top of page 43 or 161. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom, B'hamidenu, Ve'hamidenu, Shumrenu Lechaim. Ufros Aleinu, Sukat Shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. As we prepare to move into the Amidah, the central prayer text of our service, beginning on page 46 or 164 with Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, I think about the power of silence. Just last week, in our Haftarah portion, we read from the first book of Kings. I see a little high five, where we have this very special moment with the prophet Elijah, who sort of after a fiery conflict with priests of another nation, of another tribe, goes and we find him in hiding, and he's in the cave. And we read about all these wonderful things that he sees. We see fire and thunder and earthquakes. And the text teaches us that God was not in those things. God was not in the fire. God was not in the earthquake. And after all of those things, Elijah hears a kol demama daka, a still small voice. And we read that God was that still small voice. And so that teaches, at least for me, the power of silence, the power of turning inward in a world that so often is noisy, where we're surrounded by images, by sounds, by sights. Sometimes, in order for us to get back in touch with that part of ourselves that might be hidden, to feel that love around us that might be hidden, sometimes all we need is to find the still small voice and appreciate it for what it is. So I'll invite you to please rise as we turn to page 46 or 164, and we'll begin with Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, and I'll invite you to continue your prayer silently, and we'll rejoin once folks have finished. And once you've finished your your silent prayer, whether you're using the prayers passed down to us by generations here in our Sidurim, in our prayer books, or those that you that originate from within your own heart, I'll invite you to please be seated once you've finished. Ya na 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 Adonai. Ya na 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 satai tiftach. Ya na 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 ufi agid. Ufi agid teila techa. Ya na 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 Adonai. Ya na 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 satai tiftach. Ya na 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 ufi agid. Ufi agid teila techa. Ya na 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 Adonai. Ya na 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 satai tiftach. Ya na 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 ufi agid. Ufi agid teila techa. The words for Yule Ratzon can be found on page 62 or 180. Yehu Ratzon im reifi veyom libi lefanecha Adonai Tzuri Vegoali Adonai Tzuri Vegoali. May the words of my mouth, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Yehu Leratzon im reifi veyom libi lefanecha. At this point, with our prayers, silent or spoken, still resonating within us, we now think of those who may be in need of healing, offering this energy that we've built up to give them strength, to give them resilience On this Shabbat, Congregation Kol Ami is thinking of John Altshul, Gary Ashland, Stephen Baird, Vicky Beard, Stuart Berkeley, Richard Bernard, Lisa Bird, Murray Blank, Dabby Blatt, Elaine Blatt, Louise Cantrell, Wayne Cantrell, Paolo Carnero, Gail Ehrlich, Tino Felipe, Brad Greenberg, Stephen Hochstein, Don Hollis, Tim Jordan, Amanda Kimball, Heidi Kebus, Daryl Levine, Peter Mackler, Larry Mendelson, Zachary Pierce, Tammy Rabowski, Ben Reback, Ivan Rosenberg, Lowell Selvin, Judy Searle, Michael Simmental, Henry Sommerfeld, Barbara Thompson, David Suriel, Stephen Valentino, Kathy Weiss, Eitan Wolf, Nush Kavkani, and David Ben Herschel Vibashan. To these names, we add those of your loved ones. If there's anyone you're thinking of, I invite you to share their name aloud. Or to share it virtually in the chat so we can carry their names in our hearts along with our own. Our prayer for healing, the Misha Beirach, can be found on page 371 or 253 for those of you here in person. Misha Beirach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And to add on to our prayers for healing, we also find ourselves on the Shabbat preceding the beginning of a new month, Rosh Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh Av. We are currently in the month of Tammuz. And so we offer a prayer that it will be a good month. As we turn to page 261, for those of you with the skinnier prayer books here, or 379 for those joining us at home, I'll invite you all to please rise as you are able. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. Let's join together in the English. Our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Av Yeh B'Yom Shishi. The new month of Av will begin next Friday, and for all of these, we say together, Amen. Please be seated. This past Sunday, I just mentioned that we are currently in the month of Tammuz, and this past Sunday, many Jews around the world observed the minor fast day of Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, or the 17th of Tammuz. And as with many of the fast days that we have in the Jewish calendar, which commemorate many of the calamitous events, our tradition assigns a variety of different events that are understood to have occurred on this day in the calendar. Excuse me. And the two most prominent events that are supposed to have happened on the 17th of Tammuz are, one, the destruction of the first set of tablets by Moses as he's coming down the mountain and he sees the worship of the golden calf. And the second, probably most well-known, is that it was the day that the outer walls of Jerusalem were breached, specifically by the Romans around 70 CE, leading up to the destruction of the Second Temple. And although it's sad and solemn in its own right, the 17th of Tammuz begins a 3-week period of mourning and reflection, leading into and building up towards Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, a major fast, as opposed to a minor fast, that remembers not only the destruction of the temples and the subsequent exiles of the Israelites and the Jewish people, but also many different tragic moments throughout Jewish history. And if we follow the emotional cycle, the emotional trajectory of the Jewish calendar, these 3 weeks are a time of intense anxiety and fear, a time when we mourn for the destruction that has been and anxiously await, not with anticipation, but rather with sadness, because we know what's coming, we await the desolation that has yet to pass. We find ourselves right now in this moment on this Shabbat in a period of time the ancient sages referred to as Bein HaMetzarim, between the straits, literally between the narrow places, the places of difficulty. Now, those of us who do not hope to see the temple rebuilt or the reinstitution of priestly sacrifices, we might ponder the deeper meaning in mourning the temple's eventual destruction during these 3 weeks and really beyond. Because the language about the temple really infuses so many different aspects of our prayer and our holidays. And in fact, those of us who observe or cling to this sort of ideology, it was this very destruction, it was the destruction of the temples that allowed the form of Judaism that we love and we hold so dear, a form of Judaism that does not require a central temple or a priestly cult and animal sacrifices. That is what allowed this form of Judaism to grow and to flourish. So why then should we place ourselves amongst the hearts and minds of our ancestors in Jerusalem, seeing the walls breached and fearing the worst? What resonance might the warnings and rebukes of prophets like Jeremiah or Isaiah, whose words we read on this Shabbat, specifically Jeremiah, and who foretold the destruction of the first temple, what resonance might those have within our hearts? Sure, we may not share the same concerns as those Jerusalemites of old, but the fear and the anxiety they felt at the collapse of their most cherished institutions is something I think we all know too well. We too have seen the walls breached, and we too have felt the fear that the central covenant binding our society together might be shattered, like the tablets thrown from Moses' arms. Like so many pivotal moments in our lifetimes, I'm sure we all remember where we were on January 6th, 2021. I was at my parents' house in Nashville, Tennessee, staring at the television in disbelief, unable to look away, yet feeling this nauseating sickness growing within me. And over these past few weeks or month or so, those who have been following the congressional hearings on the January 6th insurrection have had to relive that day and remember those feelings of fear and anxiety that so many of us felt watching the barriers of the Capitol being breached. Perhaps these feelings have even been deepened or exacerbated hearing the testimony of so many individuals who gave us a closer glimpse at the events that occurred on that day. Through their words and their eyes, we see more clearly the reality of what that day might portend for the future of American democracy, and the negligence and callousness of those who not only allowed it, but instigated it. Perhaps the most powerful testimony has come from members of the Trump administration itself. Those individuals who believed and still believe, in many cases, in his vision for the country during his presidency. In their honesty and in their willingness to testify, unlike many others, to what they witnessed on that day and in the days leading up to it, I actually find some hope. Hope that the breaching of the walls will not lead to utter destruction as it did in Jerusalem those millennia ago, but that this infiltration and threat to our most sacred institutions might lead to a renewed vision for American democracy, one guided by honesty and integrity. You see, we as Jews and we as Americans find ourselves bein hametzarim, between the straits, in this liminal space between the cracks of the walls around our democratic institutions and looking ahead what many of us fear might be their eventual collapse. In a sense, we are all in mourning, grieving the damage that has been done and preparing ourselves for the worst. In this sense, we stand alongside our ancestors, mourning and fasting on the 17th of Tammuz with fear and anxiety for what may come after. Our prophets and sages recognize the fear and the sadness that comes with this time in the Jewish calendar, but they do not give up hope. They don't give up hope that, in the words of the psalmist, our mourning will turn one day into dancing. In the Babylonian Talmud, we read that whoever mourns for Jerusalem will one day see her future joy. And the prophet Zechariah teaches that one day our holidays of mourning and fasting will become happy festivals filled with joy and gladness. He adds, however, that this will only be possible when we love honesty and integrity. So even as we mourn, and even as we feel the fear as the gates are breached, may we find within ourselves this love of honesty and integrity, like those who have stepped forward and acknowledged their role and the role of their superiors in the egregious events of January 6th. May we share our fears and our anxieties with one another, providing the support during this time between the straits that can come only through sacred community. And may we work to see the day when the walls of our democracy stand tall and firm, able and willing to provide shelter to all those in need, and free from the threats of invasion and insurrection that may damage them. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. Ken Yehi Ratzonenu, may it be our will. And let us say together, Amen. It's now my pleasure to invite Peter Mackler, President of our Board of Trustees, who will share some announcements on behalf of the congregation.
There we go. Thank you, Rabbi. Welcome back. It's good to see you. We missed you. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. It is time for Shabbat. As Rabbi Levy says, my name is Peter Mackler. I have the great honor and pleasure of serving as president of Congregation Kol Ami. It's my pleasure to wish you a Shabbat Shalom and to thank Dr. Arlene Melik Adamayim. I'll get it. Before Yontif, I will get it. For this beautiful accompaniment on the piano. And again, thank you, Rabbi Levy. We have started our 30th year at Kol Ami. Now, if you have not already renewed your membership, please do so this week. And if you've been considering joining our amazing congregation, now is the time. You can do so either by calling our office or to go out to our website and fill out the membership form. Members can also renew your membership online, or better yet, please elect automatic renewal at Kol Ami and make things so much easier for both sides. Now, tomorrow morning, July 23rd at 9:30 a.m., please join Rabbi Levy at the Old Zoo in Griffith Park, that's located 801 Griffith Park Drive, for our Shabbat Holiness hike. Have a wonderful time. I don't think so. I wish you the best. This is a 90-minute gentle walk through all levels of hikers. And this is a great time for quiet reflection and a breath of the outdoors. Please bring some water with you and a hat. As Rabbi Levy just taught us in his sermon, Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, will soon be here. Saturday night, August 7th, Rabbi Levy will help us learn more about the Book of Lamentations, traditionally read as we mourn the destruction of the ancient temples in Israel and Jerusalem. This will be an online-only gathering, including Havdalah together. It'll be at 7 o'clock p.m. Registration for the Zoom link is required. In August, oh, this is so exciting. In August, we are thrilled to welcome back poet and liturgist Alden Solovey, who will be teaching a 2-part class called The Soul of Shabbat. I have 3 of Alden's books right on my nightstand, right next to my bed. That'll be on Sunday, August 14th, and August 21st at 10 o'clock a.m. online. Coming to us from Jerusalem, Alden will help us explore the prayers and poetry of the Sabbath services. The classes are $18 for members and $36 for non-members. Please sign up on our website, and I implore you, I welcome you. Please join us for those lessons. As always, we'll keep you up to date on what is happening at Congregation Kol Ami by visiting our website often at kol-ami.org. That's kol-ami.org. You can register for all of our online and in-person programs. And while you are visiting our website, please do consider making a donation to our synagogue to support the vital work that we do all year long. If you haven't already, get it delivered in your mailbox or twice a week. Email the eKolenu also has all the information and more. And with that, I thank you again and wish you all Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Peter. We'll move into the concluding portion of our service this evening as we turn to page 282 for those of you here, or 586 for Aleinu L'Shabeach. I will invite us all to please rise as we are able. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula le'otzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Please be seated. At this point, we think of those whom we have loved and lost, whether they were gone from this world in recent weeks, months, or days, or at this season in years past. On this Shabbat, Congregation Kol Ami is remembering Tom Filaro, member of Congregation Kol Ami, Beverly Goldstein, mother of Jonathan Goldstein, Rose Clark, great-grandmother of Richard Wortman, Sylvia Drachman Gottlieb, grandmother of David Drachman, Ben Karasek, father of Barry Karras, all of whom are memorialized here with a yahrzeit plaque here in our sanctuary. We're also remembering Eric Weinberger, father of Bill Weinberger, Stephen May, partner of Ed Casson, Ann Super, grandmother of David Kruskal, Michelle Sandoval, daughter of Sally Beck, Edith Seitman, mother of Karen Seitman-Lev, Daniel Milstein, cousin of Hugh Milstein, and we are also remembering Rick Gould, Erwin Sonny Citron, Marvin Edelman, Paul Morgan Fredericks, Paula Tabor, Ann Pendo, Linda Beckelion, Muriel Stein, Ruben Ibarra, Marianne Waxner, Claudia Morton, Ron Stoner, Alyssa Bentley, Sandy Saltzman, Jay Salorsh, Shirley Rosenberg, Brandon Lux, Nadine Holt, Christopher Hughes, Yusuf Lukido, Evelyn Ruth Rich, Keith Cantrell, Rob Schlesinger, Leona Bander, Marlene Bram, Herb Jacobson, Richard Frank, Lou Vicinelli, Dave Hall, Howard Romanoff, Greg Sonkin, Ruth Forster Williams, and Reba Goldman. To these names, we had those of your loved ones. If there's anyone you're remembering at this time, I invite you to share their name with our community or to hold their names in your own hearts, and invite you to write their names in the chat so we can take their names in with our own. And I now invite us all to please rise as we turn to the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294 or 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shmei dekudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'ramav, Huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony and peace on high bring peace to us, to all of Israel, and to all of humanity, to which we say, amen. I invite you to please be seated. Our concluding song for tonight you can find in the insert of your bulletins. And it comes from Psalm 16. It is a passage, Shiviti Adonai Lenegdi Tamid. I keep you literally in front of my face before me, God, at all times. In actually many different sanctuaries, particularly Middle Eastern, North African, Sephardic sanctuaries, you often see very elegantly decorated art made of Hebrew letters that spell out Shiviti, and it's a way of physically representing that. And the version we'll be singing is from Nava Tehillah, a group in Jerusalem, and instead of saying what we usually say as Adonai for the four-letter name of God, they use Havaya, which on the one hand it means in Hebrew experience, and recognizing how God imbues all aspects of our lives, and it's also a feminine construction of the name for God, reminding us that God both embodies and spans all different genders. Shiviti Havaya Havaya, 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 Ahava, 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 Havaya, 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 Ahava, Ahava, Ahava. Shiviti Havaya Lenegdi Tamin Shiviti Havaya Lenegdi Tamin Havaya, 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 Ahava, 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 Havaya, 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 Ahava, Ahava, Ahava. Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid, I keep you before me, the God of truth, the God of honesty, the God of integrity, the God of compassion, the God of love. May we hold all of these in front of us always, seeing the love that surrounds us even when it is hidden, and loving truth, loving honesty, and loving integrity. And may we hold this and carry this with us into this Shabbat and beyond into this next week. And let us say together, Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for joining us.